You are not behind in life. You just think you are because you compare yourself to other people who aren't you, who are on a completely different kind of path in life. So I mean, it's something that you hear all the time, or I feel all the time, and I don't know if you do too, that you're just sort of behind. It's like life is a race. Everyone started to run but you, and you couldn't quite, get there. You had to crawl, then you had to, because whatever problems you have, right? It's measured in metrics of like how much money have you made. A huge one for me is, do you have an actual career? Because I never had like a dedicated career. Do you own any property? What's your portfolio? What kind of car do you drive? But the more I've thought about this, and the slightly longer that I've lived, I just realize it doesn't matter, and that you are life, so you can't be behind in life. And the other thing to realize as well, and that to never forget, is that nobody knows what they're doing. So doctors, lawyers, people who have all the things I listed before, who are ahead of you, they don't have it together. It's an illusion that we all seem to think is real. It's an illusion, like the illusion of adulthood is the way I think of it. Like when I see people walking around, I don't see any adults. I just see a bunch of kids that got older, but they're still basically kids, still kind of acting out their same old patterns, right? And everybody feels this lack, this sense of things aren't quite right. We feel this lack, and we compare ourselves to others. Then you start feeling like you're falling behind and everyone else is pulling ahead, right? I mean, and it's something we're taught as kids. We're taught that. Especially in this country, a capitalistic society, money is everything. Money is all. And we're taught what kind of school you're going to go to. So all the way through childhood, we're sort of conditioned to look at stuff. Even things like Christmas, as much as I love it, it really does put this consumerism sort of thing in you. And it's a pattern that we just kind of continue playing out. And so you feel bad when you shouldn't. I think another thing that has exacerbated this, and maybe partially in my world, but in a lot of people's world, that social media is the other thing too. You look on Instagram, and boy, isn't it crazy how everybody's perfect on there? Isn't that funny? And then you start to see behind the veil a little bit. Maybe you learn a detail about one of these people's lives, and you're like, wait a sec, it's pretty regular. It's not really. But I think social media has just kind of exacerbated this situation, absolutely, for a lot of people. Just this constant comparison, and they have it together. Why don't I have it together like that? Why am I not on a yacht? Why don't I have this? Blah blah blah. I mean, it's really natural, but it's just not good for us. And I think honestly, what it must stem from. This must stem from some kind of anxiety. There's got to be. And I know for me, I've been very anxious in my life because of my childhood and everything. Just anxiety about what is going to come up. Anxiety about the future. That is, thinking about the future, that's what it gives you. You're anxious all the time. You can't ever really fully relax. I definitely feel that. I feel that wanting to come up in my system, that anxiety about what's going to happen next. And we are that way, even like storytelling or in movies and stuff. We want to know what's going to happen next. But that's no way to really live a life, it seems, because you're just living a life in like this constant turmoil and this like sort of pain, really, even though it's just a nice day and everything's good. I could sit in this room and be completely stressed out about what I'm going to do next month, this, whatever. And when I started doing my own thing with my business and everything, I had no idea what was going to happen, and I had to really get used to this feeling of uncertainty, and it felt very, very bad. It really felt bad. I just felt sort of numb at first, just the uncertainty of how am I going to make a living, how am I going to, buy food and everything I need. And then as I lived in that, because it kept working, but I still had the feeling, but everything was working, but I still had it. And then eventually the feeling sort of died away as I got used to the uncertainty and the discomfort and the anxiety. The anxiety sort of subsided because you realize it's like exposure therapy. All of a sudden your brain realizes, oh, I'm not going to die. And I was worrying for nothing because you worry about the future, then you get there and it's fine. but you did all this worrying along the way. And I never had to do the worrying, and that's what I'm learning. We can skip all the worrying and just get used to it, and it'll go away. The other thing too, I mean, you can spend a whole lifetime doing this. I know people like parents, people who are older in their 60s, and they're still kind of chasing the almighty dollar. They're still kind of chasing things, and they're comparing themselves, and they still don't feel quite like they've arrived. I notice, like I'm talking like doctors, successful people, and they have that sort of anxious thing about them. And I remember talking to a couple of them and asking them like, you've made it. You have money, you have this and that, you have this and that, and they just are still feeling that. And so you can do this for an entire lifetime, or we can like let this go, or I don't not even let it go, just live in it long enough so that it goes away, basically. You get used to that uncertainty. You get used to not knowing what's to come and not really caring anymore. And then you don't have this added weight on you. But it tries to come back. It'll kind of drift away, and then it'll come back, and just noticing it and just being like, all right, this is just normal. No need to panic. No need to keep living in this anxiety, right? And you can really do this, and you can look so far ahead to where you want to go that you can't see where you are. And I think I did this in my life, where I was always about the next thing. Let's go forward. I'm going to try this now. I'm going to try that now. And then I sort of, in the meantime, my living was just sort of crappy. My apartment kind of sucked. My car sucked, but I was looking ahead, right? And not actually taking care of stuff that I needed to, which probably would have helped me then move ahead by having my life more together here and now, and then working towards something in a healthy way. So I think it really does go like this. I mean, we're not behind. We're just comparing ourselves to too many people. There is no real finish line, or I mean, well, technically there is, but I mean, by that time you won't care. There's no finish line for the career thing or what you're going to do. I've known people who have had several different careers, right? I think what it is just what's the next thing? You can have 5 different careers. You could have 2 or 3. You could have a bunch of crappy jobs and then finally establish something and then finally do something. You never know what it's going to be. So if this makes sense to you, let me know. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'm curious. I just want to hear from people, and this is a thinking channel. Just want to see what people are thinking about this and just sharing my thoughts. So subscribe if you want. See you later. Thanks.